Gosh dang it. Oh, hi, Hominus. Uh, I was supposed to put a whole timer and everything, and it didn't happen. So I'm kind of irritated right now. Oh, I just should have put the time in. How's it going? It's going okay. If things go well today, then I might see the Black Adam movie later today. Wow, that's fast. Okay, so I'm actually going to be talking about some controversy today. This is it's Twitter, you know? I put a timer. I once put a timer and didn't notice it. Oh, I'm sorry. So, frick. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm just trying to find my stuff. There we go. I like looking at the chat on my phone because it's a lot faster than the one here. Making sure I lower that volume. Okay, so there was a bit of controversy on Twitter from an indie creator. And his name is L.A. Chavez. Pronouns he, him, blah, 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 blah. Right? So, the thing is, like, nobody's ever heard of him, right? Because, like, he's a very small indie. Now, why this person stirred up so much controversy is because apparently that they have been, what's it called? Not untrustworthy, but weren't telling the whole truth. And whether he realizes or not, he infected 25 different artists plus 25 plus different artists in a sexual harassment kind of manner. And I've been, for the past few weeks, trying to gather up as many tweets as possible because this whole thing is like he's Venezuelan. But he has said that in 2021, lost a job, has no money, and all that stuff. So, you know, he has no financial support. And so, in his group chat, which there's a group chat of, you know, lots of creators create a group chat together, sometimes artists or just comic books, etc., etc. And apparently, he would do something where he would have random voice chats. I'm not sure if you can do that on Twitter. Usually, I believe it's stuff like Discord that can do that. So who knows? It might have been on Discord. So he would just do random voice meetings, and he would brag about getting an art for free from one person, or brag about how he got this piece of art that was very cheap than how they usually charge. And I was like, wow, from what you see on his actual tweets, he doesn't seem like that type of person. He seems like a very poor, humble guy, you know, poor as in like financially poor, right? And then a lot of the victims were like coming out like left and right and all that stuff, and I'm like, holy crap. This is a lot. So like what he would do is that if he found out that you were a not safe for work artist, he would try to bring up sexuality in a conversation out of nowhere just because, and try to somehow force that artist to try and draw him some not safe for work stuff for his art, for his OCs and all that stuff. And after saying like, hey, I'm not comfortable, he would say, oh, I'm sorry, but then make it all about him, where he is over explaining his financial situation, and then apologize that I'm so sorry, I'm poor, I have nobody to talk to sexuality to, and since you're not safe for work artist, I feel like that you guys are the only ones that I talk sexuality to. I can express my sexuality, when I have been following this guy for about a year or so, but he definitely expresses his sexuality on Twitter. Like, there would be times when he would talk about boobs because he really likes boobs. And sometimes it would be kind of out there, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just scroll past. He's doing his thing. I shouldn't be, what's it called, I shouldn't be rude to somebody who is trying to express what they feel, or like how they want to talk like that on a platform they're posting, but that's because I thought he wasn't hurting anybody. But the fact that he did that to multiple people in secret, like he privately DM'd them in secret to just talk about that stuff, and when they say, hey, you're making me uncomfortable, that's when again the apology just shows up out of nowhere. And then like one of them expressed like, hey, I have trauma, stop, and they're like, oh, don't worry, I won't treat you differently, can I still say you're hot and stuff? And I'm like, bro, no, what are you doing, stop. And it's like, so I decided, I'm like, okay, so this thing has been going on during that time, I found out, for about a week. And I just found out that day. So everybody was like over it, They're over it. They don't want to talk about it anymore. They want it to stop. Well, I got this new anger inside of me, because this is somebody that I have paid groceries for on Thanksgiving, because he said that he hadn't had food in like 3 days or something like that. And then to possibly hear that he's not really poor, that he may, again, this is alleged, that he may have a vacation home in Florida, how his parents actually do have money. And I'm just like, hold up, if this is all true, why would he need to ask for money? Why would he need to do something like that? Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael. Hi, Shane. Hi, Reese. Hi, Random Dude Draws. And everybody else. I'm talking about this this thing that was happening on Twitter that I just found out about it, and it was about an indie creator. So the reason this went on for so long, for some artists, some people, like not even just artists, it was like some creators, like comic book creators, whether they're editing or doing stuff, they would always say, yeah, this never happened to us to that extent. Like, he'd be kind of weird and all that stuff, and didn't understand that stop means stop. but like, I'm so sorry, you know. I did talk to one person and I was like, hey, am I allowed to show any of the tweets or any of the DMs? Because there were DMs. The people share those DMs. They had his name on it. And they talked exactly the same way he did, right? And they said, out of respect, no. And I'm like, dang it. Like, this is gonna make me seem like a freaking liar. So I have to do like twice the work. So I spent like the entire month now. I didn't expect it to be this freaking long of finding tweets. I'm like, okay, when has he explained his money situation? When has he expressed that talking like about, you know, something kind of off, you know, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, so let's go over it. This is not pretty. I need you guys to tell me if you can see this. Like, how is this easy to read? Because if it's not easy to read, then I can just read it all for you. So ominous. For me, apparently he has been DMing people, like other indie comic creators, individually asking them for money for groceries or money to travel. For me, he has not talked to me like a private DM, but he does talk about his financial situation in tweets and constantly talks about it. There was a comic I remember that he was wanting to do, and so I went to go recheck that. He was doing this thing on Ko-fi. Another thing is that this person is new to the indie comic scene, has been there like 1-2 years, something like that. And somebody was like, let me tell you, this guy does not know how business works and does not know how to run a good business. And after looking at all the tweets, I can confirm this is true. Or maybe he knows how to do it, exploit people's money, you know. Again, the money part is alleged, because who knows, he could be poor. But we know his parents has money. If they can afford to give him money to go to Spain, then I don't know what's going on. I can see but not read. Okay, cool. I should have made this larger. So, since I can't talk about the people who feel like, you know, the ones who were DM'd and, you know, they felt disgusted, and, you know, I can't say their names, I can't show any of their tweets, I can't show that, but I did talk to the people who, like me, gave this person money. And so these are going to be the tweets, right? So the top one right over here, this is a person I DM'd personally saying, am I allowed to show your tweet? And he said, yeah, please. And so the first tweet right up here, where he said he gave LA, which is his nickname, a not insignificant amount of money for plane tickets to Spain so he can get his, quote, Spanish citizenship. He's been talking on Twitter how he wants to have a Spanish citizenship so he can have a better life, because he would talk about how he feels better over there, he feels free, like he feels like he can, like, you know, afford anything, or like it's just like a cheaper experience. And I heard Spain is not that expensive, right? And then that's when he continues and says, and eventually move there to, quote, have a chance at a better life, which he has also stated. He stated multiple times that he wants to go to Spain and just permanently live there because it feels great. Like all that stuff, right? And then also replied with, he was talking about how he would have to go without food in order to afford a ticket, And I said I'd put money toward the ticket for him to make sure he was eating and not starving. He then wrote, if you need any more proof how calculated this was, none of oh wait, shoot, not that one. Let's not read that one, not yet. Gotta take that out because it was in front of my face when I was reading. So over here, what is today? It's September 30th. Heading to the airport now. My heart is heavy, but I had the best time. I'm truly grateful for it. Oh, my dad. Everything too. Maybe going back now, but it's not the end. My life will hopefully turn around in the future. Thanks for letting me share this experience with you all. He also wrote, I'm only able to do this, which is like go to Spain, thanks to my dad helping me out. But I honestly can't complain. I'll take this month and recharge and live, okay, and be truly happy for a change and absorb as much of it as I can. If anyone wants to help, here's my Ko-fi, which he promotes a lot. And I found this weird because this was all in 2022, right? I found a tweet from 2021 that said, so I don't usually like to share too much about my personal life and situation, which is a lie. He constantly talks about it. He's wrote that tweet many times. But I've finally gotten some good news, and that means I might actually have an actual future in my life. My citizen papers to Spain were finally just approved after years of working on it. Let me repeat that. My citizenship papers to Spain were just finally approved. This was in 2021. So why is he telling somebody in 2022 that he needs a plane ticket to Spain so he can get a Spanish citizenship when he was already approved of one in 2021, when all he just needs to do is wait like 2 to 3 years for it to finalize? That's a freaking lie. Like, don't tell somebody you're gonna get a Spanish citizenship, when you already were approved of it. And he never talked about how he wasn't approved of it. And then, like, on the bottom tweets over here, it would say he early October 2022, he would talk about, I know I need to accept it and focus on finding a stable job. He said this multiple times, so I can afford things again. Believe me, my dad paid for that Spain trip. I could never, and that sucks. Always wanted writing to be my job and my career, but it feels hard to maintain even as a hobby, at least with comics. He is again only talking about his dad when people have already donated to him money for this trip and didn't mention them at all, never gave them any credit. He would only give credit to his dad. And 2021, that's when he said, that's when he lost his job. And when he lost his job, it was a month before he was going to go to Spain. And he would talk about how that's terrible timing. I have money to go to Spain, and now I just lost my job. And I was thinking, then don't go to Spain. Why would you need to go to Spain? Why, like, when you just lost your job? Yeah, you have the money for Spain, but you could save that money. Try to like work on something else, or save it for groceries, rent, and all that stuff. I try to find any tweet of him mentioning that he would have to pay for a house or pay rent, because he did say he had a landlord, and I found nothing. Every time he asked for money, it was never for like rent money or house money, mortgage money, that kind of stuff. He would just say for bills or groceries. So, but he has a landlord. And I just found that kind of sketchy. We then learned that in 2021, the reason he went to Spain after he got fired was because it was his dad's birthday. And his dad rented an entire small lounge in wine bar to hang out with his friends in Spain. And I'm just like, okay, what? Not only did he rent out a wine bar for his birthday in 2021, but he also helped you get money for a Spain ticket for you to go to Spain, which apparently other people helped you out with and you just didn't mention. But you only mentioned your dad. And I'm like, your dad is giving you money for Spain in 2022, and he has in 2021 as well. And then he also has enough money to rent a little wine bar. But what the heck is going on? How are you so poor? How are you not affording anything? That's fine, dead guy. And I'm just like, if your dad has enough money to let you go to Spain in 2022 after you lost your job, then whether he's like retired and has a lot of money or he's somehow still working and is still able to give you money, then like, why are you saying you're struggling? Like, I was trying to find out if he still lived with his parents or if he lived alone, and it was actually hard to find anything on that, because when he writes a tweet about him and his parents and his family, it's either implied that they do live with him or they don't live with him. Never implied that they just visit. It's either one or the other. Spain is nice, And then, in Spain, he would say, I don't want to, I want to relax. I don't want to be on Twitter. I don't want to be dependent on Twitter. But then he he posts every few days while he's in Spain. And I'm like, are you sure you just want to relax? He would say, sorry, I'm not tweeting much. Probably won't a lot while I'm in Spain, which is a lie. Just having the time of my life and healing. Not much to report anyway. Hoping people continue to check out one of his works and donate to Ko-fi. And then, less than a month later, he's like, I'm trying to keep up with as many people as possible in general, just to friendly catch up. And I'm sorry if I haven't with anyone of late, which is weird because the people who have been DMing him, showing the DMs and all that stuff, they say the exact opposite. They're literally like, I want you to be quiet because all you do is spam. And when somebody doesn't respond to him, he keeps going. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, dude, take a hint. They don't want to talk. And then I ended up getting another tweet, not a financial from this person. This is the same person, by the way. But he did say that if you need any more proof how calculated this was, none of his cis heterosexual male friends are coming out with stories like this. It's because it wasn't just the people who consider themselves straight guys that were affected. It was non-straight people that he was doing this whole sexual harassment in the DMs to. Like, all of them were freaking queer. And I'm like, bro! And this is like 8 pages. This is my first time doing a presentation. And so I'm just trying to like, I have to get out of full screen. That sucks. That's going to be annoying. Okay, so this is a person who is a really great indie comic creator. I have backed his stuff. I have reviewed his stuff. And he got hired for DC's Milestone Initiative. I DM'd him personally and I'm like, hey, question, because I would always see him like try to support him and all that stuff, and I'm like, is it possible to show your tweets like for money wise? He's like, yeah, I'm completely fine with you showing my tweets. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so this is the tweet I'm sharing of his that said, I gave money to him several times to help him with groceries and comics, which I did give him an extremely small amount of my bonus last year on Thanksgiving, because, said he was hungry for a few days. And then I did help support him on Ko-fi for like a one-time payment, right? He said that he gave him money several times to help him with groceries and comics, because I wanted him as another, they're using the Latina person to be successful in comics. Unfortunately, much of that looks like a sham. I don't want to share this because I feel so foolish, but we all need to see it. Now, I did see a few other tweets from I believe it was the friends of the victims, that said stuff like, it's possible that he could still be poor. He could still be poor and he could still be suffering and all that stuff. It's just that stuff that he writes sounds so wishy-washy. And stuff from his father, like, it's sketchy. Like, you just saw it. Like, he just was complimenting his dad on giving him money for a plane ticket that he's done a few times, but can't afford food. Which I'm like, okay. And then, so here is a tweet from 2021, November, saying, there's so many friends who are doing cool Kickstarters and I want to support them so bad, but I just legit can't right now. I don't have a job. I don't even have enough money for pizza. It pains me so much because hopefully my situation will improve sometime soon. And then he has another one in 2022 October, and he's like, I need to focus on getting another job, but I want to finish these 2 one-shot script I'm writing on first and see if I can make either of them happen somehow for next year. Maybe I'll still try asking through the Ko-fi and make one of them that way. Which is weird, because if you wanted to put your comic out on a Ko-fi, which has been done before, you can do that. You can get the full payment on Ko-fi. But what he was doing was that since he can't afford an artist, he was using our money to give to the artist. Like, he was paying, it was a freelance artist he was paying. And that's where I put like $15 into, right? He was like, okay, I need $60 a month. And that money will go to the artist for 1 page a day for a 20-page comic book. And so I did the math and I'm like, okay, that's $1,200 something. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't think that's enough money for freelance artists to do a 20-page comic book, especially if they're freelance. Not only that, but not everybody can donate. And you have to have $60 monthly when you're a small creator? Like, what? That makes no sense. I didn't know that. I didn't know I was helping him pay an artist $60 a month for a 20-page comic book. I thought I was putting money into an entire fully finished comic book. I didn't know it was per page. Like, that's completely weird. And, apparently he has a very much obsession with pizza, which I won't read any of the pizza tweets. I feel like I should have just deleted them. But, like, as soon as he gets, like, a lot of money and he just splurges it on pizza or junk food, but when he's not buying groceries. And, he's like, I want 1 pizza a week. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be having 1 pizza a week, but okay. Over here in the bottom tweet, he was like, the heck with it. I'm treating myself today. I'm gonna order a big pizza for myself. Trust me, pizza is almost a luxury here. Only can afford it occasionally, but dang it, I think I need it today. And I'm like, well, I would be surprised if you don't eat it all the time, because that's honestly what you talk about all the time. I want one pizza a week. I do too, but I know that's not healthy, you know. And so this person seems like he's talking from Venezuela. And so I decided to talk to an artist I know. Very beautiful art. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just realized you have a Venezuelan flag. Let me ask you about stuff from Venezuela. And I'm like, okay, so like he was saying, finding a job is hard. And then when you do find a job, it's more like more hours, less pay, which I feel like that's what I'm doing now. So I won't say how much I get paid. And I'm like, okay, so I asked her about it. I'm like, is that, in your opinion, how it is? And she was like, not really. It's not hard finding a job. It's just the whole hours thing. Like, you know, you're getting so much hours, but you're getting such little pay. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I understand. So that part was correct. And I'm like, is everything so expensive that pizza, something like pizza, is it like a luxury? And she's like, not really. It's not a luxury. Yeah, she thought it was a weird question and stuff. And I'm like, oh no, because there's some person. And she's like, well, we don't know their life. You know, maybe he could be so poor that pizza to him is a luxury. And I said, you are right. You could be completely right. If he's telling the truth that he is poor, then pizza can definitely be considered a luxury. You know? And then I would see stuff like this, like I should really save money to last a month, but I'm starving and want a pizza. You know, the heck with it. I'll go for it. Regrets are for tomorrow. And I'm like, what? If you have enough money for a pizza, you should have enough money for groceries and make a meal. Like every time I see him make a meal, I never even see the meal. He just says, I have dry chicken because I'm sick. Like he gets sick constantly and all that stuff. And I'm like, bro, like you definitely have to like do something with your diet. And I know diets can be freaking expensive as somebody who's supposed to be on one. But like you have to make sacrifices. Right? And then this is more into the business part, right? So in this business part of his life, he would respond to a lot of people's threads that he was friends with. And one of them was like, hey, who likes making comic book pitches, but like for fun, right? You just write them and you're good. And I'm like, honestly, that seems pretty kind of fun, but I just do the imagining, not the writing. That's too much. And he responded to them saying, they are fun. I just don't have the money to make them. And I was like, hold on. What do you mean you don't have the money to make a comic book pitch? Why would you need to pay or give out money to make a comic book pitch? From what I've always known, you don't have to pay to make a comic book pitch. It's a pitch for a comic book. And you just write it. And somebody was like, you don't pay, you just write? And he was like, wait a minute, don't I need like sample pages? And they're like, yeah, but you don't have to pay. And that's when he's like, you mean I could submit a pitch to a publisher even without any art or artists attached to it? It was my understanding that all this time you needed to provide at least 5 to 6 finished pages, and some even wait until they have the first issue finished. Sorry if I'm mistaken. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? It's just a sample. Like, some people just have like a 1 to 3 pages of work done and they just send it in. Like, this person is forcefully trying to get artists for little pay just so he can submit work to somebody, not knowing that he has been doing this for a while, mind you, that you do not need an artist to submit a pitch. And that's the most craziest thing I learned that day. And I'm like, what? What does that mean? That's so freaking weird. And then, you know, he responds to like, some days it really does feel like I'll never make any money off writing and I'll just be forever living poorly, squeezing any penny I can save to make expensive comics that might never get published or read. Now, here's the thing. He has done a few Kickstarters. He has, I believe he had 1 or 2 where it was funded, and then one that was not funded, and I believe he would try multiple different times. What people don't understand is that you don't make a Kickstarter to make money. The whole point of a Kickstarter is whatever funds you got left out of that Kickstarter, you put it towards the next comic book. Almost none of that goes to yourself unless you're somebody like who's really already big and you can afford to use a small amount of what you made for yourself, for like food or bills and something. Oh, happy Veterans Day. I didn't know it was Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. And it sucks because this person has been doing this for years, and they know people in the indie comic industry that have been doing this for a while, and he asked them for advice and all that stuff, but still didn't know like the small stuff. And then in 2021, he wrote, I don't know that I can keep doing comics or even writing anymore. I am broke. I haven't been able to find a job. And even if I did, you would cry yourself to sleep if you knew what people made here, which that part is true. My last source of money for bare minimum stuff has dried out and I feel like a failure. I can't even afford to leave the house to get a coffee without having to beg for help, which I'm super grateful for the help, but just can't feel like a waste of space deluding himself he can be a writer. I should just take whatever crap job I can find and try to survive. Which he does not do, because this was in 2021. He just doesn't do it. In 2022, he decided to, in October 4th, he decided to write something, which was like, I think we're all here, or stick around as long as we can, because we love it. Writers and artists both. We love making them, even at a loss, when we could be working on something more profitable. If boring, things instead. If it wasn't for that, comics probably wouldn't exist still. I don't know how I feel about that. And then over here, that's when the 2021 August, where he said he lost his job, wasn't fired, but just was like let go because they couldn't afford to pay him anymore. So he didn't have any more income, and he can't come crying to the internet for help. So he's trying not to freak out. And then said, this sucks. I just asked for help with my Ko-fi this month because I was struggling even with that job. Now I don't even have that, and it's grim. And it's so funny because I'm like, wait a minute. If you're poor, if you can't afford anything, if you can't afford groceries, how are you on the internet? Don't you have to pay for the internet? And then I would hear like he watched The Batman with his mother before he went to Spain. And I'm like, wait, you have a streaming service? I'm like, what? And what's this? Again, for what was it? The 4th time he said this? I don't know. October 3rd. I need to focus on getting another job. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, I did read this one before. It's so weird. I accidentally might have copied a couple into some of these pages, and I tried deleting all of them, but I guess that I didn't do every single one. All right, so for 2021 on what is this? Before he was let go, he's like, I feel terrible asking, but if you knew how bad the economic situation here, I can barely pay for food and stuff most of the time. I really want to be able to continue telling stories. And then that's where he puts one of his books out. And then he would say, sorry to keep asking for this, but if anyone can spare anything at all, we can just use the help to start setting up a Kickstarter. But if anyone can spare anything at all, I don't know who we is, it could be him and the artist, can really use the help to help start setting up our next Kickstarter. He needs your money to set up a Kickstarter because he doesn't have any. Or so he says. And he's like, I'm buried in bills and have not been able to save for it so far. Please share this as well and thank you. And it's funny because one person called him out on this tweet. That person said, then why do a Kickstarter? Why not make sure you have enough money where you're not in the red? And then, once you build everything up, then you start a Kickstarter. This was in 2021, same day. But he obviously never followed that advice because he's still asking for money, whether publicly or privately DMing people about that. In August 10th, 2022, he wrote, every writer probably complains about this at least once a week, but so many ideas and scripts and no money to make them. Probably. And then he wrote in 2021, if anyone has any advice on how best to get remote jobs as a writer online, like freelance, as a content writer or translator or whatever really, please let me know. Never really got far with LinkedIn, but I'll try anything. I need to study my options for when I get back from Spain. That was in 2021. Somebody replied to him and suggested Fiverr, and I think somebody suggested something else. But if he didn't choose any of those options, like Fiverr is at least something. You can at least get something with Fiverr. 5, 10, 15, whatever. And it sucks that this has to keep happening to indie creators and indie artists and all that stuff. Like, can you just do your job if you can actually do it? Like, this I believe one of the friends of the victims were like, listen, every single advice you gave him, he will not do because he's most likely lying to get more money. Which, again, could be true. Could not be true. And August 2nd, 2022, Kickstarter ends today, but instead, while I feel terrible asking, if anyone can help me out with a Ko-fi, I could really use your help this month. I have a lot of expensive and currently looking for another job, but please, anything helps. So him talking about his, never talking about his personal life and all that stuff is obviously a lie. Because he does talk about it a lot. Now, move away, thingy, so I can actually read the tweets. Thank you. Hello, Carter James. I'm talking about something that has been going on Twitter that I possibly may be a victim of. Still not sure. It probably is at this point. Of an indie comic book creator exploiting artists, also gave them individual harassment, and may possibly be lying about his financial situation. Sorry, Carter. Okay, so we're almost done. I got like 3 pages left. Sorry, dead guy, I might be like up to 10 minutes late. And so we have a tweet from 2021. So, okay, so these are all the tweets that he's been making, which he himself has been breaking. Making and breaking. Gabbers! Hi, Gabbers! So he, so was this, that's July 24th, 2021. Sometimes I mess up and I have to remind myself that we all do and that communication is important. All I can do is be upfront and apologize and try to do better in the future. We always have to keep learning and being better. I hate feeling like I let someone down though. And then 2020. We really have to recognize that sometimes we do or say some stupid stuff. We have to realize when we do, even if it was said jokingly, and catch ourselves and correct ourselves and apologize if we caused, oh gosh, I put them close together. If we caused like harassment is what it says. I mean, you guys can't read it anyway, but I'm just letting you know. And he's like, I sometimes still do, but I'm trying to learn and be better. That was 2020. The other one was 2021. Here's another one from 2021. I would also like to add that no one is forced to accept an apology if they don't want to, and that no answer is an answer. It must be respected by people whether you like it or not. Thank you, Gabbers. Love you, Gabbers. That is a really old PayPal, Tristan. I did not update it yet. I can't believe it's still on there. It really sucks when you... sorry. This was August 2, 2022. It really sucks when someone you thought was a friend unfollows after ghosting you, seemingly for no reason. Even after you tried and reach out and apologize for whatever it was you must have done or said that was so bad. Ultimately, all you can do is accept and move on. But it hurts. And it turns out that these public apologies was because what he was doing in people's DMs. After they blocked him, he couldn't talk to them and had to make public apologies. And me seeing this, I'm like, dude, whoever, like, you're, like, I don't know who you're talking about, but, like, I don't care. I don't want to see a public apology. Like, you shouldn't be saying that to the world. Like, what the heck? And apparently the reason he makes public apologies is because he's blocked. Hey, Carrie. Welcome, Carrie. I'm talking about the situation for that indie comic creator who caused a stir on Twitter. Can you post a link on here? Yes, because you're a mod. And I believe that's August 13, 2022. He's like, I want to thank everyone for reaching out and sharing your love, and it has helped. I think I was toxic and harmful to someone, and even if I didn't realize I was, doesn't make it less true or less hurtful. I'm truly sorry to anyone I've made feel that way. Nobody deserves that. And then continued with, I'm not sure how, but I believe when people say they're hurt or uncomfortable, it weighs on me a lot to hurt somebody in that way. I can only ask for their forgiveness, which they do not owe me. I sincerely apologize for any pain I caused. I hope I can be better. And yet, this has been going on for these artists for 2 years. He's obviously has not learned. And I was, every few days, like, while I'm putting everything together, I'm trying to see if he made a recent tweet or whatever. And he's still doing the same thing. He's still copying the same behavior. He has said before that he has been in therapy, right? And like may have talked about it during his therapy sessions. Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, you can post my PayPal link since you have the recent one. Thank you, dead guy. And I'm just like, is your therapist actually helping you with that? Wait, hold up. How are you paying for a therapist? You've complained how much, like, therapy is expensive. So how are you paying for that therapist? I asked somebody, I'm like, he says he has a therapist. Where's the money coming from? And they said, whether he's not paying for that therapist and somehow is getting free therapy, or he's probably using our money to pay for that. And I'm just like, what? And it's like, for the whole money thing, there was a moment where he asked for a specific amount of money. All of the artists came together and said, yo, that's how much he owes me. That exact amount. So something for like groceries or whatever that he said was possibly going to that artist because he owed that artist a commission, which he may not have wanted paid, which I already said during the whole Kofi thing that we were paying for the artist. He was using our money to pay for the artist for the comic book. So, not using his own money because he said he doesn't have any, that makes a lot of sense. And August 2, 2022, I'm not perfect and I make mistakes, but I honestly try to learn from them and be kind and tentative as I can to everyone. If I fail that somehow, wish people would tell me to fix it instead of this, which I guess was blocking him. But from the DMs I saw, they did tell him. They told him multiple times. They said, stop. You're making me uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable with what you say. But still went to do it. And I'm just so tired right now. Maybe time off here is what I need after all. Which I believe that's him going to Spain, because this is before he went to Spain this year. Appreciate your friends, whether they are higher or below you in success or popularity. Nurture the friendships that value and believe in you too. No one is perfect, and if you screw up, apologize and try to fix and do better. That's all we can do. But unfortunately, from all the apologies I saw from the DMs, apparently he copy and pastes them. Because the artist decided, like, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this guy. And they're like, wait, you too? And then they sent each other the apologies he was making, and it was all copy and paste. Like, my gosh. And then in 2020, which is completely hilarious, because the people he was targeting for harassment of some sort were women or queer people or people who were biologically women but did not identify as women. And he wrote, in 2020, you have to listen to women, support them, respect their boundaries, and make sure that if you cross them, even by accident, that you apologize and rectify, that it doesn't happen again. People who fail to do this are the problem. It takes work, and we have to do that work. And then in 2022, July, LOL. I think I have the opposite problem. Somebody was talking about, like, oh gosh, what were they talking about? I don't even remember. But this is what he said. LOL, I think I have the opposite problem where I'm constantly worrying if I haven't kept up with people, worrying they'll move on if I don't catch up with them. Some people have, but I know most aren't like that. And the funny thing is that people who want to move on from him are because what he's been doing, and they don't like it. Because he spams. He spams. And when somebody's like, I'm sorry, I'm busy, they're like, oh, just so you know, I'm poor. And I don't have any friends. And I'm like, how do you not have friends in the entirety of Venezuela? If that's where you lived. If that's where you're currently living. If that is actually true. I don't see how you have zero friends in Venezuela. I don't understand that. And apparently the only friends he has are online. And I thought that was weird. August 13, 2022. If I say or do something to hurt anyone in any way, I accept that and any responsibility for it. Even if it wasn't my intention, I just want to own up to my mistakes and say how sorry I am. If anyone feels that way, please tell me, and I will do anything I can to make things right if I can. Which they're still waiting for, by the way. He put out a tweet mid-October, I believe. And I'll talk about that at the end. This one is just not a lot of stuff. It's just him saying, sorry, I'm promoting the Kickstarter too much today. Think that you're an indie comic creator and you actually apologize for promoting your own stuff. This was like because his dad was like in the hospital and he's trying to focus on something else right now. And the next one he was saying like, pretty sure the Kickstarter is not making it. Now I'm thinking of what to do next. Maybe focus on my life. Thinking about dating online, but hasn't had the best experiences. But also saying like how he devalues himself sometimes. Devalue, undervalue, that stuff. But it's all the time. I'm always seeing his tweets about how he thinks he suck. And he's like, oh, I think I suck. Nobody wants to buy my comic book. And then you have people in the replies like, oh, don't worry, I'll buy your comic book. And he does this all the time. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. So, in August, he was saying how he's going to continue, and this is when he was in Spain. Before he was in Spain. He's like, I'm going to continue to stay off more, especially with Spain coming up in less than 2 weeks, but I'm still writing a lot. Which is weird, because in the entirety of, almost the entirety of, September and October, he was still on Twitter. So he never stopped. And I feel like maybe this is like an addiction for him, because he has stated before that he's too dependent on Twitter and too dependent to being on that freaking app. And I'm like, bro, you need to stop. And he's like, I'm trying to finish a big script for next year, which, might not happen after this came out. And he's like, he's gonna see if he can raise money through Ko-fi to make a new comic, which is where the audience, I guess, or the donators, would commission one page each month. I honestly have no idea how that works. How do you commission a page a month? I mean, you can, but you're not using your own money, you're using other people's money. And September 21, 2022, taking night off to finally do some writing. I haven't done almost any in Spain, which I hoped I would. And it's like, he was saying, in this tweet, that he's gonna try and do some writing. But during that entire month, he did not do any, because he says he was having too much fun being outside and hanging out, but also saying how he can't afford anything in Spain. And then out of nowhere, I would see, when he's in Spain, oh, I can't afford anything. I bought a comic book. I'm still in Spain. I still can't afford anything. I bought another comic book. And I'm like, do you know how much comic books cost? He's getting, trade paperbacks or hardcovers. Those are expensive. I don't know how much they are in Spain. They're probably cheaper in Spain, but they're still expensive than a floppy. And apparently, in Spain, every floppy is a hardcover, which I'm like, that's really interesting, but that seems like a lot of money, too. And then, his brother said that his brother bought him another comic. And I'm like, your brother? You have a brother? This, for me, it was my first time finding out he had any other family member. He has a married brother. And I'm like, hold up. Your married brother is not helping you financially either? What is this? You have all these family, but none of them are helping you? That you need us, strangers on the internet, helping you? And that's why people are wondering if what he's saying is really true. That if he's really poor, if he's really struggling. All right, guys, we are on the last page. All right, so okay, so apparently I was looking on anything money-wise, right? So he was like, I think I'm going to be able to arrange a local delivery service to bring me groceries and the like to my home since I can't afford a new phone right now. This was in 2021. In 2022, he did end up getting a phone. How did he get a phone? No idea. Who bought him the phone? I have no idea. It could have been a family member. It could have been like the money we were giving him. No idea. And he's like, since I can't afford a new phone right now, like I said, and you absolutely need a working one to be able to function here where he lives. And the one thing he left the house for. In which I'm like, I don't really understand that. But it's weird because I'm like, why order a local delivery service? Like, don't you have to like pay delivery tax or something when you do that? Why not just walk to the actual grocery store? Because that's actually cheaper. And I know some people have these like little carts with the wheels on them, like their own personal cart, to just walk home and go to the grocery store. And in August through August 3rd, 2022, I still buy movies when I can afford it or if there's a sale. Often on iTunes or Amazon for digital, because you never know when you're going to get them on streaming or if it gets moved to another one and gets removed 100%. I prefer physical media, but that's harder to where he lives. And I'm like, shit. I mean, you're still buying all that stuff. Like, I am a person who is like, I'm not suffering financially, but like, I know money is hard. You know, when I can't afford it, I put money on the side. For like commissions and stuff, I put money on the side. And then I see him in a tweet February 13th, 2022 saying, I'm curious to see whatever show or movie they were talking about, but I can't afford to pay another subscription service. Meaning he pays for a subscription service. And I remember him before he went to Spain saying like he was watching the Batman. So I want to assume that he possibly has an HBO Max account, which without ads, I believe it's $9.99, but with ads, it's $14.99. If you're somebody who's struggling financially, usually you have to stop the streaming services for a while because they will break your bank. You know? And it's like he's making terrible money choices because he doesn't know what he's doing. And that person was right. He doesn't know how to work a business. In 2021, November, 2 days before my birthday, he wrote, I decided that from now on, I'm only going to be making big one-shot comics unless a publisher hires me to do something bigger someday. But I'm not going to kickstart another issue 1 for a series I can't afford to make when no artists want to stick around for that long anymore. And I'm like, is it because they don't want to stick around long for a long series, or because you ain't got the goods to pay them? You know, and it's like, you say you're struggling with money, but you're surprised no artists want to stay. Amazing. You know, eye-opener. In April 2022, he's like, I don't know, look, please support indie creators, especially by, oh gosh, what is this one called? BIPOC. That stands for something. And I know POC means people of color. I forgot what the BI means. And LGBTQ. We need all the help we can get and buy digital comics. Most can't afford to have printed copies or are not in a place that's easy or cheap to ship them. So, from what people who've actually made crowdfunding comics have told me is that the reason they don't focus on the digital or do no digital at all is because it doesn't make that much money. There is one person who I interviewed Max DeVille for Human Hunters #2, which is ending soon. He wrote that he can actually afford to put digital comics on there because 30% of his viewers are digital comic buyers, and so he greatly appreciates the digital comics. But unfortunately, a lot of people, even younger people, they are liking the whole physical copy thing, rather because, you know, they think it's cool, they think it's vintage, and all that other stuff. My bad. Whew. And then here in 2021, he's talking about his first project that he ever did, which I did not back. I believe I backed his latest project that wasn't funded. Good thing, I guess. And he was saying that he put all of his money on his first project. And then he made it available for free. And still to this day, a few people have seen it. It's disheartening. I don't know what else to do, but keep trying though. And I'm like, why would you put your work, your very first work, for free? It is a comic book. Oh, thank you, Black Phoenix. I almost forgot to look at the chat because sometimes you guys are talking about something else and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Who just said hi? I missed it. Oh, hi, Phil. And I'm like, what kind of ignoramus are you that you put all of your money on a first project and then made it available for free? And I'm like, well, and he was like, oh man, people haven't seen it. I'm like, well, have you been supporting it? You know, like, how much are you like support? Like, you have people to review it. Do like you have to make an effort, marketing. And the thing is, this person has he had 2,000-ish followers, and he's saying that he has no friends and has nobody to review or talk about his work. And I'm like, that's a bunch of bull. That's not how I pronounced it, dead guy. Shut up. Ignoramus, okay? It's my pronunciation when I talk too fast. In 2021, December 15th, he said that his brother was kind enough to offer him tickets for the Spider-Man, for that Spider-Man movie, the Tom Holland one. I forgot the name already. Since he knows that he can't afford it, and that he was happy about it. And I'm like, if your brother knows you can't afford it, and he's willing to give you money for a Spider-Man movie ticket, is he not giving you any money at all? Like, what's going on here? No Way Home. Thanks, Phil. And then somebody was like, wait, didn't he say he wanted a dog? But he has no money for a dog. So why would he need a dog, right? That's what I remember. I remember that too. And so I started looking for it today. And he talked about it more than one time. I saw the one in 2021. But then I found one in 2020. 2020. He said, I am considering getting a dog for the very first time. With what money? I had a cat since I was a kid. It died. Been wanting a companion, and some friends recommended I get it a dog. I love dogs too, although they do seem like a bigger responsibility. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. In 2020, he did not leave his job yet. So who knows? Maybe he could have somewhat afforded it. But in 2020, he has talked about how the economic? He talked about how the economy was already getting pretty bad. Will his dog have its own funding too? That's what I assume if he were to get one. And then in 2021, he writes, I am, for the first time, seriously considering getting a dog. Which is weird because in 2020 he said, I'm considering getting a dog for the first time. So no, this isn't the first time you considered it. Normally more of a cat person, but I like dogs too. He's not allowed to get a cat where he is. I'm guessing where he's living. He's like, I'm debating this so much. I know it's a big responsibility, but I honestly really could use the companionship. That was in like 2021. In freaking June. And I'm like, of course, it's a big responsibility, but it's money too. Like, I do not like, personally, when somebody is friends with somebody else that knows they do not have money, but still recommends an animal to them. And I'm like, you know this person is not financially able. Why would you still recommend them an animal? They can barely afford to pay for themselves. Getting an animal, which is literally paying for another freaking person, is not going to help. And then I believe it was like October 14th, something like that, he finally realized he was the topic. And that's when he said, okay, so, you know, apparently I got some people angry, blah, blah, blah. Just so you know, here's another public apology. And people were like, we don't want your public apology. You know, we want this to never happen again. Well, some people want an apology, some people don't, I guess. But he was quiet for like 2 weeks or something like that. Maybe it was 1 week. And then he was like, hey, I'm sorry. My family took my phone away when I went to the clinic. Haven't posted or retweeted anything since. If you mean the tweet I did that day, or not tweet, if I like message, I'm guessing, to that one person, if you mean that message thing I did, I'm sorry. Didn't know at the time, but don't worry, I'll delete it now. Maybe he does mean a tweet or a message because he doesn't specify. He said he only got his phone 2 days ago from that time, so I can try writing my apologies. And I'm like, why would your family take away your phone going to a clinic? It's a clinic. It's not a hospital. It's a clinic. What does that mean? Like, I just realized, I thought this person was like in his 40s, but this person is in his 30s. He started doing this in his mid-20s and doesn't really know how to do anything, bro. Which is funny because in 2021, his dad was in the hospital, which he's doing a lot better now. I'm happy about that. And despite him being in the hospital, he still has time to tweet. So I don't see why his family would ever try taking his phone away when he's a grown adult. Like, I don't understand that. Sorry, I'm looking for something here. He just wrote something on Twitter. And I'm not going to share the screen. Because I was going to freaking screenshot it, but he used the victim's name. And I can't use the victim's name. So I can't show it to you. I'm sorry. Cool. So I'm on Twitter. So, he wrote something else. November 8th. which was a few days ago, he said that he was working on his apologies and that he was removing a specific person out of it because they talked and worked things out, but wants to make sure that they, have the time to apologize to everybody. But the thing is, like, it's like, I feel like he's not trying to brag about it, but when you tell somebody, I'm like, oh my gosh, in my apology, I have about 5,000 words already written. And I'm like, nobody cares. And he's like, I'm hoping it's not too long, guys. And I'm like, no, like, you shouldn't be worrying about how long it is. Like, you hurt people emotionally. You made them feel unsafe. Your apology should be coming from the heart. And if it's coming from the heart, it shouldn't matter how long it is that you have to write. It could be 5 freaking pages. And then, as long as it matters from the heart, And then he wrote, like, it's harder to write, like, having to write everything on your phone since the internet is still gone here. And I'm like, when did that happen? When did you lose internet? And then I realized, I scrolled down, and apparently there's things called cyber cafes. A cafe where you use internet and you pay for it. And I'm like, you go to cyber cafes, which you have to pay for? Like, I would rather, like, not have internet for an entire month than to freaking pay for a cyber cafe, which is like, what, you can pay, like, what, up to an hour or more on that stuff? Like, I don't get it. And, and then he's like, oh, like, the house car is in the shop. And I'm like, you have a house car? You have a car that's in your house? What's a house car? And if you have a car, when did you buy this car? Is it your car? Is it your family's car, which they may or may not live with you? Like, you understand, like, what I mean when everything is wishy-washy. He's poor, but something, like, he may have a house car. And then he's, like, using his mom's hotspot or whatever. And then, and I found that weird that he said that he wasn't going to mention that one person in the apology because, he said they, quote, worked things out, unquote. And I said, from what I've seen in the DMs, I don't think that's true. I think you have a problem with social cues, or you're just purposely trying to be an a-hole, and that irritates me. And then the person responded, and they did not work things out. They said they're done, they don't want this on their timeline or whatever. And again, I realized this super freaking late. So my emotions are still bottled up, even though I wasn't on the harassment part. Like, one of the friends of the victims had to tell me, like, I'm like, bro, I wasn't even harassed, but I'm still so angry. And because of, like, thinking this man had no food, and so I gave him groceries. And they're like, yeah, but they told me that I have the right to be angry because I thought it was feeding somebody. And, like, I'm not the person he exploited for money. And I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. Thanks. Bianca, I think people like this just make up one lie after another. Most likely. And then another one in November 8th. Dang, I missed a lot in these 3 days. Wait, what? Okay, someone told me the puppy should be fine if the cookie didn't have chocolate. Sorry, I'm new to this. won't happen again until I apologize. Like I said, was just scared for him. Thanks for the person who told me. He ended up getting a dog! You don't have the money for a dog! If it's true you don't have any money, why'd you get a dog? And why the frick did you give it a cookie? It doesn't matter if it doesn't have chocolate. Some cookies naturally have xylitol, which is freaking poisonous to dogs. What the crap? When did he get a dog? No! He's saying he wants a dog for companionship and didn't know he's not supposed to feed it cookies! Whoever told them that it's only the chocolate chips that matters, you are a dodo. It does not matter if it doesn't have chocolate chips. They are not supposed to have it regardless. Not only that, but there are something called raisin cookies, which are made out of grapes, which are also poisonous to dogs. Hello? And so I found it weird that this person decided to go to Venezuela, if they are currently living there, if it's true. Because this person has a degree in America. So why this person would actually go to freaking Venezuela, I have no idea. This person has lived in Boston before. They lived somewhere else in the US before. I forgot what it was. But they have like degrees. So I'm like, why? If you went here for college and you have a degree in writing or whatever you did that on, why move to a place like Venezuela, which economically is struggling? Like, I don't understand that. And so somebody was like, it's on his website, what he did, his degrees and all that stuff. So I tried looking at his website. Unfortunately, what happens when you go to his website is you will be redirected and automatically goes to your calendar on your phone. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, maybe let me subscribe to his newsletter. And so I tried the newsletter to get to the website. I had better luck there, but there's nothing on it. Nothing on that website at all. So I'm like, what's the point of having a newsletter? You just write what's going on? Like, where's your stuff? Where's your books? Like, why would anybody... I'm trying to get out of this newsletter, by the way. I don't know how. I'll find out. I'll find out how I can do that. So, like, whether he's lying or not, you decide. But what he did to those creators is in no way, shape, or form a good thing. And I believe that with this apology that he's going to write, that it's going to be like his other copy and paste apologies. Because he does not understand what he's doing wrong, despite writing what can be wrong, that no answer is an answer that they don't want to talk to you, but he still breaks that rule. You know, if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, sorry, I'm going to still spam. And then talk about how my life is so bad because I have no friends, but have like almost 2,000 followers. I don't understand how that is. And then he fed a puppy a cookie. He fed a puppy a cookie. No, oh gosh. And this is why you don't work with animals. Oh my gosh. He doesn't know how to take care of a dog. Anyway, so this is all I have for the moment. Like, just speaking generally what everything is about. I'm really happy I didn't name any names. So I hope something like this is at least fine for me to post. If not, I will edit the crap out of it. I will. But I was debating whether sharing this on Twitter or not, because like Like that one person just wrote, they don't want to deal with this anymore. They don't want it in their brains. They don't want it in tweets. Like they want to stop. So I feel like putting it out there would be like irresponsible for me to do, you know? So I will not be like putting this out on Twitter. I will ask the person just in case, or maybe have them look at it and like see if it's okay that they can see like the replay or something like that. But yeah, so that's all I have for today. Dead guy is your I'm at the end of this if you guys want to hop on over. Yes. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna head to Dead Guy's channel, because he has the Aliens 2 coming out on a premiere, and you know I did the voice work for one of the characters, and I'm hoping you guys can join in, stop by, and have some fun. That's not drama related. This is my first drama thing I've ever talked about, so it's kind of weird. All right, guys. See you all the next time. Have a nice day.